First, welcome. Thank you everyone for joining me. My name is Laurel Huston. I am the creator of body mapping and the owner of Reflections Inside and Out. Hi, Michelle. I am really excited to be able to jump on live, answer questions. Hey, Mackenzie, thank you guys so much for jumping on. Quick review. So, what is body mapping? Body mapping is something that, after 20 years of working with women, body language studies, a degree in psychology, and a degree in communication, um, teaching anatomy and physiology, learning energy work. I mashed that all together and created body mapping. So, body mapping, in short words, is the literal map that the universe left on your body to help you learn things about yourself. So, one of the reasons I love body mapping is because it is all about your measurements and you comparing you to yourself and no one else. So, my thumb measures my eye, but my thumb will never measure someone else's eye accurately. So, I cannot measure myself against anyone else and be true to who I am or true to who they are. So, as far as measurements go, today we are learning about lips. So the measurement for your lips, there's actually a couple of them because you have fullness, but you also have width when it comes to your lip. So this is kind of easy for me because I'm in front of a camera, but you guys might need a partner or to get in front of a mirror. But the measurement, and I kind of drew it here on my whiteboard. So if you are looking straight from the corner of the iris, so not your pupil, where the eye comes, if you come straight down, that is where the corners of your mouth should meet. So if I'm looking straight forward and I come down, the corners of my mouth should be on the inside of where the color is. So that is where the width of the mouth is. Um, so it's kind of, I can't do it on the camera because if I'm looking at the camera, then I'm not straight on. But if I'm looking straight and I come straight down from the side of my pupil, it should be here. So a couple questions that I always get when people are measuring their mouth. What if the lips don't match? So some people, their top lip doesn't meet all the way. So it's where the top and the bottom lip meet. Some people have a shorter top lip than bottom lip, or vice versa. Some people, their top lip comes over their bottom lip, so their mouth looks more like this. Where if your top lip doesn't match, it'd be more like this. Okay, so wherever your two lips meet is where you measure. Okay, the second measurement is fullness. So get your fingers and get your pinky. The circle on the tip of your pinky is whether or not your lips are full versus thin versus proportionate. So if I were to take my pinky and draw 3 circles like this right here, the top of my lip would be 2 circles, and the widest, fullest part of my lip right here would match the circle on the end of my pinky. So the easiest way to do this is actually, if you don't have any lipstick or anything like that on, if you actually just put some color on your lip and then dot it and do point, point, and then right in the middle so that it makes this triangle of circles. If you get lipstick up above, your lips are probably narrow. If the circle goes right on your lips, they're proportionate. If the circle goes on and you can still see part of the redness of your skin, then your lips are full. Now, the more important part of this is your top lip proportionate to your bottom lip, or is one bigger and one smaller? So as you measure, let us know in the chat, like, is this making sense? Are you able to see, do I have a wide mouth when I come straight down from the sides of my pupils? Does my mouth extend past? Do I not touch the corners of my mouth? Do I cover the corners of my mouth so we're right on and they're straight? So those are the measurements. And I know I went through those fast. I'm going to run through them again, but you also have access. You can rewatch the video. So when you're looking straight, if you go from the inside of the color straight down, where the top and bottom lip meet, tell you if you have a narrow mouth, a proportionate, or a wide. Now, this is why I love this. If you have always thought you had a big mouth, but you just measured and it was proportionate, acknowledge that, okay? Also, if you're like, oh, I really do have a wide mouth, stop thinking that that's a bad thing, because all of these different features have different characteristics, none of them bad or good or right or wrong or better or best. They just are. So when you can start to look from neutral with your features instead of thinking that you either have to love it or hate it, you can just say, my lips are my lips are proportionate, or my lips are thin. Um, Proportionate. Cool. So just look from neutral. Okay. So here's what it means if you have those different things. So let's start with width. So when you come, if you have a narrow mouth, meaning that when you are looking forward and you bring your eyes down, you don't touch your lips. So your mouth is narrow. Um, a lot of times people will have kind of, it'll look like they're in kind of a kissing position because their lips will be more narrow. But that would be narrow. Wide, when you're just straight faced, it would come farther over. Um, the the more narrow the mouth, the more these people tend to be the person that sits back and they choose their words more carefully, meaning they are the person that they sit, and when they have the answer, then they speak. But they're not going to talk just for the sake of talking. Versus a wide mouth, they words come to them very easily. They tend to be on one side of the coin very witty, on the other side of the coin very sarcastic. So the wider the mouth, one side of that is the wider the mouth, the more likely you are to put your foot in it because you're always talking. However, the wider the mouth, the less likely you are to have mouth or throat issues because you feel like you can freely express yourself. So when I see someone who has a wide mouth that has a lot of throat or tonsil issues, I know they are someone who has been shamed for having a very vocal opinion, because they are someone who just naturally wants to express themselves and they haven't. And so they keep it, and they will tend to take their eye teeth and bite the inside of their mouth. They'll grab chunks of skin. Ow, that really hurt. I don't usually do that. But they'll chew on the inside corners of their mouths, or they'll bite their lips because they're trying to punish themselves for speaking, um, or they'll pick at their lips. So people that have a wider mouth, if they are not expressing themselves, they're actually more likely to bite their lips, pick at their lips, or chew on the inside of their mouth out of a habit, not necessarily, oh, I'm chewing something and I accidentally bit my lip. The contrast of that is when people have a narrow mouth, they tend to hold their tongue more often. They tend to be more contemplative. They tend to be people who think things through before they speak. So the positive side of this is they tend to not be offensive. They tend to not be sarcastic because they think everything through. The opposite side of that is they think everything through. So you'll ask them for a simple yes or no, and they'll usually stop and they'll pause and they'll breathe and they'll think. And if they're not sure if it's the right answer, then they'll say, I don't know. Because the more narrow the mouth, they actually have to be trained more to be, the words don't come as easily, is what I want to say. So, with proportionate mouth, if your mouth is proportionate, this is directly affected by how you were raised. This is a culture thing. So, if you grew up in a home that opinions were free, you could vocalize yourself, um, mouth stuff doesn't usually happen. But if your mouth is proportionate and you came in a family that if we don't talk about it, it didn't happen, um, that is a learned behavior, not an instilled behavior. That's not something that you came with. So if you have a proportionate mouth and you tend to pick at it a lot, if you're picking at the center, it's inner stuff. If you're picking at the corners, it's outer world. Whenever we're doing things with the body, if it's inner world, it will be inner. It'll be on the inside of the mouth, it'll be towards the center. If it's outer world, it'll be towards the corner or the outside of their mouth. Think about when we talked about acne. If it's a black head, that's inner world. If it's a white head, it's outer world, because the infection is inside versus outside. When you're causing pain on the outside, especially outside corners, that is outside world, versus if you're destroying the inside of your mouth, that's inner world. Um, Things like canker sores, that is inner world. That's usually a sign of overthinking and over processing, because from a physiological standpoint, you get canker sores from having too much stomach acid that comes up. And stomach acid is all about overthinking. Canker sores, or when you get like zits on the corner of your mouth and they're just hurting, if they're on the edges, that is unspoken anger towards outside world. If it's on the peaks or the center of your lip, that's angry in your head. That's mean girl. That is, I have so much going on in here that's just angry and vile, but I don't want to speak it out loud. Then don't speak it. Write it. Write a letter and burn it. I love write and light. It is such an easy release technique that you can do anywhere. If you are at the office and you made a mistake, write a letter to yourself expressing how frustrated you are and how you can't believe you did that. Get it all out on a piece of paper. Don't light it if you're in the office, but just rip it up. Get rid of it. When we hold words in, it will affect the health of our mouth. Now, are there times when it really is best you hold that in? Is it okay if I share a story with this? As a 17 to like 25-year-old, I still am very quick-witted, but from that 17 to 24, 25, my wit was full of anger. So it was very hurtful. And I don't know how many of you have seen the movie You've Got Mail, but Meg Ryan is talking about how she's like, just once, I want to be able to have that come back as quickly as possible, instead of think of it hours later. That's never been a problem for me. And yet it has been a problem for me because I'm very quick with my words. And I was very hurtful with my words very often. As quickly as I can lift people up, the opposite is true as well. And so when I was transitioning from learning when that wit was actually funny and appreciated versus when that wit was hurtful, I started to have a lot of sores in my mouth. And yet it was appropriate for me to not say those hurtful things. But then I would have to go places and write them down, or do some love and some forgiveness and send appreciation towards those people. So remember, symptoms aren't positive or negative or good or bad. They're messages. So me having symptoms in the corners of my mouth because I was no longer having snarky, rude, harsh comments towards people was my body literally clearing out all of that anger and hatred and judgment. And I went, okay, I'm getting rid of this. This isn't something I have to continue to do. So it got to the point that I could hold those not nice thoughts and not get symptoms. Okay. So symptoms aren't good or bad. They just are. With fullness, when you measure, it's the pinky. So if you measure the 3 parts of your pinky, or the 3 parts of your mouth, is your top lip proportionate? Is it thin? Is it full? Is your bottom lip proportionate? Is it thin? Is it full? So there's a couple different combinations you could have. Some people have their top and their bottom lip are the same size, whether they're both thin, they're both full, they're both proportionate, but they don't have one lip that's larger than the other. Then you have other people that they have their top lip is fuller than the bottom lip, or vice versa. The bottom lip is fuller than the top lip. So here is how to remember why this matters. If your top lip is fuller than your bottom lip, and I'll write this on my little whiteboard over here. So your top lip is about 31 and older. So your top lip is 31 plus, meaning people who are 31 years and older, and your bottom lip is less than 30. Okay, so if your top lip is fuller, you have a specific message for people who are 31 and older. If your bottom lip is fuller, you have a specific message for those who are 30 and younger. Why 30? Because in a 90-year lifespan, you are still a child until 30. So when people talk about childhood trauma or they talk about inner child work, it is the first 30 years of your life. You are not adult in energy until you are over 30, because that's only the first third of your life. And anyone who's over 30 goes, yep, I was still very much a child until I was in my 30s. And anyone under 30 is like, I am totally an adult until you get to 30 and then you go, holy crap, I had no idea what I was doing. So, um, bottom lip is 30 and younger, top lip is 31 and older. Why does this matter? I want you to think for a moment about some of the experiences that you've gone through. And think about a time when you were in a situation where you were talking with a bunch of people and you just kept getting this, share this story, share this story, share this story. When you do that, that lip stays healthy. But if you are in a group of 30, moms who are over the age of 30 and you have an experience and your top lip is a little bit more full and you don't share the experience, you'll notice that you'll start tapping on your lip, you'll bite it, or that lip will start to dry out. That is your body trying to encourage you to share the message or the story that came to you. Because your lips are an indicator of messages and your lips are an indicator of connection. Sean asked, can those change? Yes, every part of your body can change. So when I first started speaking, my top lip was slightly thinner than my bottom lip. And I only wanted to teach teenagers. I had no desire to work with adults. And for years, in fact, the first probably, I would say 10, 12 years that I was a professional presenter, I only worked with youth leadership groups because I loved working with the teenagers. And as I started to work more with mothers and adult women, my top lip has actually gotten fuller. However, when I don't share my message, my lips dry up, they start to peel, they start to itch, they start to tingle. I know when I have gone too long without sharing my message because it shows up in my lips. When your message or your relationships are drying up, your lips dry up as well. Let that sink in for a moment. When you are losing connections with people, it shows up in your lips first. However, when you are very passionate about something, your lips will naturally redden. They'll be brighter. They'll be pinker. They'll stand out more. So it's so fascinating to me that women have always worn, no matter what year or trend, bright red lips has always been in fashion. It's actually a classic look because women are supposed to be about passion. Women are supposed to be the communicators. Women are supposed to be those that voice and connect and get people to interact with each other. And so if you are someone who always has to have lipstick, check in and ask yourself, do I feel heard? Versus, I was just skiing and my lips got chapped and I'm wearing chapstick. Okay, well, that matches. You were out where it was cold and you were in the sun. Versus, I have to use chapstick every single day or my lips are dried out. Check into your relationships. Where do you feel like your relationships have dried up and are no more? Because There are so many people right now who are having all sorts of mouth problems because we're just not communicating, or the way that we're communicating is not kind. um, Holding on to thoughts or words that are harsh or angry actually causes bad breath. When you have decaying thoughts, they decay your teeth. So there are all sorts of things that happen with your mouth that all stem from your willingness to share your words. So I highly encourage you to create a declaration that says, my words matter. Others want to hear what I have to say, and I can speak with kindness. So my words matter. Others want to hear what I have to say. I can speak with kindness. Um, how I chose what we were doing today. So I actually finally I made body cards. And when I shuffled, that's the card I pulled today. So that's why we are learning about lips. So with Monday mapping, what I am going to do, sorry, what I'm going to do from here on out is I'm going to pull a card, and that will help me determine what we are going to be talking about that day. And so I was so excited that I finally got these. So with words and with your mouth, there's two things, two declarations. I trust and love with passion and forgiveness. If you are wanting to really bring that passion, that vibrance, that help back to your lips, I trust and love with passion and forgiveness. If you are not sharing, if you are not speaking, I speak truth and I share my message. Those are both things that will help to bring and heal your lips right now. So, quick review of the measurements. When you're looking forward, if you go to the inside of the color, not the pupil, the color of your eye, and come straight down, that'll be the corners of your mouth. And your pinky, the circle right there, tells you the fullness of your lips. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you start paying attention to the messages your lips are telling you. Because when we lose passion for life, one of the first places that we see a physical change is our lips start to lose color. They're not pink anymore. They start to blend in with our skin. So watch your lips, because they are an indicator of whether or not you feel like you are connected to other people. They are an indicator of whether or not you feel like you have passion, intimacy, or that your words are being heard. Let's see. So if the fullness of your lips are proportionate, does that mean you speak to either group? Yes, it means that your message is for all ages. And so for my lips, they are now proportionate, where I used to have a slightly larger bottom lip, and now they're proportionate. And so, because I share a message that's for all ages and stages of life. So, yes, it's beautiful to watch and to see. And I hope that after watching this, you can be a little bit more mindful of your lips and the messages that they are telling you and the messages that they are sharing to others. One random fact, I'm not sure who needs this, but it popped into my mind, so I'm going to share it. When you are attracted to something, someone, when we see something that is pleasing to our eye, our lips will actually redden. And it's because we go into a state of arousal, because arousal is not just sexual. So, because we become aroused by a beautiful painting or the smell of food we love, or we actually see my husband laughs at me because I very rarely call him my husband. I usually call him my lover. So, whenever I see my lover, my lips will actually get red unless I'm mad at him, and then they'll stay pale. But as you see things and are aroused by life, your lips will redden. And so find something today that when you see it, it make it your lips have choice. That they redden, that they see it and they get excited by it. Find something you're passionate about today, and remember, your words do matter. Others do want to hear what you have to say. You have a message, and I encourage you to share it. And I hope that you have a fabulous Monday. I know this wasn't at our regular time, but I have family here from Alaska and I want to go play with them. So thank you for being willing to be flexible with times today. Thank you so much, ladies. I love you.